Mayo, and people who just, you know, who are great supporters here of the Ballinglen Arts Foundation. Delighted that Bob Frazier, Bridget's husband, and Hugh, her son, are here. You know, we are here to celebrate this fantastic artist, Bridget. You might notice that I haven't called her from the crowd, and that's because tragically Bridget died last April, and her loss is still being felt amongst the community of her friends, particularly neighbours, and of course her loved ones, Bob and Hugh, just to tip the iceberg. And Una had, with Bridget, been working on having this show here over the last year and a half, approximately, I think, Una.
Well, probably since the last time she was here.
Last time, which was 2021, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So Bridget's a fellow, and for those of you who don't know, but I'm sure most of you do, the foundation invites artists to come, and they'll spend anything from 3-4 weeks, maybe 2 weeks here on a fellowship. The fellowship then enables them to have a studio and a place to live. And it's unique amongst the residencies actually worldwide, in the sense that you can bring your own family with you if you want, and the school obligingly accommodates anyone with children and will have them in the school short term. And of course there's a huge outreach aspect to the Ballinglen Arts Foundation, where it's very involved in education and outreach programs. Anyway, here we have Bridget's work, and it spans how many years, Bob? Is it about
15? Is it 2008?
Yeah.
2022.
Okay. Okay.
It's a right mix.
And you were saying that some of these pieces were under the bed.
Yeah. I think she was going to paint over these 3 ones until somebody stepped in.
The 3 down here at the end.
Yeah, the 3 down here, and then I think Dad had to
Step in.
Step in, yeah.
Thankfully he did.
She wanted board, I suppose, at the time. Sometimes I'll paint over there. They were
Yeah.
never on show, but
Yeah. But
I
you
think they were definitely worth salvaging. Definitely,
Oh,
yeah.
for sure. And you were making a reference to the scale of the raid on each one you earlier on.
Yeah.
That had a personal resonance for you, or you were speculating on it.
Well, we've seen these in the houses constantly, and sometimes you kind of you forget what they actually mean. This is my first time seeing them hung up like this, and I have an older brother and a younger sister, so I'm the middle child. So I was just looking at the middle one, and I saw myself, and then I saw my younger sister, and I saw Ian, the older brother. So it was a different meaning to me all of a sudden.
Yeah.
Just when I saw it hung up like this, which is
Yeah.
kind of nice for my personal self. But
Yeah. You know, I mean, Bridget is here, obviously. She's here in her work. She'll never go. And the overriding thing in her work was, I mean, you hear a lot of it used in art speak today, but excavation, digging out, exploring, unearthing, scratching, scraping, pulling. She didn't work on canvas because canvas was too much, I suppose, like a ball rod, too bouncy. She needed a board to work on that would resist the punishment that she meted out on a regular basis to the surfaces. And a lot of the works would go, and she always talked about, you hear a lot about people painting pictures, but a fair amount of contemporary artists talk about making paintings. And Bridget would be included amongst the artists who make a painting. They don't feel like they're painting it, they're making it. And that's even emphasised by Bridget as well. She didn't say she was working in the studio, she was working in the workshop. So there was a strong artisan element in her approach. A practical work-like basis. You get in and you go into the workshop and you do an honest day's work. And she wasn't somebody who was that urgently needed to realise an image. Many artists, including myself, sometimes we work in the studio. I call it the studio because I said to Hugh that I'm pretentious earlier on. But Bridget went into that workshop and she hewed out these images, and she didn't have a sense of urgency in trying to realise the image. The image, when it presented itself, came at the right time. And it often meant, it would mean, it translates into having a number of works going at the same time. Some might have been from a couple of years ago, some might need to be cut up on closer examination. I mean, Bridget never doubted or questioned the fact that she was an artist. She knew that from the beginning. From her time in the Crawford Gallery in Cork, where apparently she was the student of the year, which would be a very affirming thing. You know, if you're starting out and you're just doing your own work because you want to do your own work, and then you're told at the end of all that on the degree show, oh, by the way, you're the student of the year. That would have an effect on you, you know, and it's a wonderful thing. It can give you a great sense of belief and centre you. And I mean, nature is her theme. And just like the work takes time to happen, a couple of years, she wasn't in the business, a couple of months, she wasn't in the business of trying to realise the image there and then. It would present itself when the time came. I think she made analogies with slow cooking. It certainly wasn't the fast food side of things. You know, these were things that would take time. They baked. There might be something already in the oven. You'd pull other things out. You'd scratch them. She liked picking up bits of debris. She was somebody who was really totally at home in the natural physical world, particularly by the sea, by rivers, in water. There's nothing that she liked more. I mean, if she was in here now, she'd be looking at she'd be finding the cracks here on the concrete floor fascinating, and the marks on it. And that patination of time, the effect that time has on surfaces, on stones by the beach, on the discoloured rocks. And I decided to go for a little walk before the opening here tonight, just on the beach around the corner. And as I was walking along, I was looking down, I was trying to enter Bridget's head somehow. And, you know, I could see just a fascination of boulders, bleached areas, black rock. And these were the things that fed Bridget's soul. These are the things that she lived for. And there were things that she wanted to celebrate. And in her work as well, she wanted to, you could say, fast forward over a long period of time, but fast forward the process of aging, of wearing, the patination of time, things being revealed, nothing ever appearing like it is. Like you might get a veneer, but there's always evidence of like textures coming underneath, which suggests like you can't walk on any bit of land without a geological history there. And in Ireland, quite often, you'd also have maybe a human history. There might be bodies, there might be bits of whatever, you know, there's parts of constructions. So her work really is about time. It's about, also it's today is a perfect day for us to have the opening as well. It's very hard to get a clear picture. We don't have the blue sky, even though she does light blue. And I know that one of the things that set her off into the journey into art was an Anne Madden's large abstract painting just of blue. And I think they were in a school tour when she was around third year. And this blue painting had a profound effect on Bridget. And it was the thing that hit her, moved her, stirred her soul to decide that she was going to become an artist. I mean, you might find the equivalent of some fella here, seen the JCB and deciding, okay, I'm going to be a bulldozer man, you know, or whatever, or a young woman looking at a horse or a pony. But there's a lot of us have seminal moments, something that maybe will lead us, if we're lucky enough, to direct us in what our future path might be. And in Bridget's case, it was the Anne Madden blue painting. So when I see these blue images as well, I think that that's always present as well for her, you know. I mean, I'm only speaking words. I'm trying to, and Bridget is a visual artist, and ultimately it's the paintings that have the resonance and will do the speaking for her. I'm only trying to maybe somehow give you an impression of what it was that stirred her. But I mean, I first met her in Asia in Carlow. Now, there was a fantastic festival that's been running there for decades, And this was back in the late 80s, early 90s. And as a consequence of her involvement with the committee in Asia, and Asia was interesting in lots of ways because many of the festivals here in Ireland, usually the visual arts might be an addendum, something you walk past as you're going to the theatre, or something like that. But Asia made it central to their vision. The visual art was central to it. And as a consequence of those small beginnings, we now have the biggest, one of the most amazing galleries in Europe, in Carlow. Visual it's called, and I'm sure many of you will know it, but Bridget had a role in that happening. So she was involved in education, in workshops, in making art, in helping out artists, and in making fabulous work. And she's left us a remarkable legacy. And it's a celebratory and sad day. I mean, she should be here, and at the same time, she is here. Bob, who's a sculptor, he's here. Hugh, is there anything you'd like to add, Bob? Anything you'd like to say?
Hard to follow that. I just want to thank you for doing this, especially only for following through. Got a burst out.
Hugh, is there anything you want to say in the meantime?
You said brilliantly, but I just we're just immensely proud.
Yeah.
I was going to say it doesn't trigger me, but seeing everybody here and just the work, I think it's it makes us incredibly proud.
What I'd add though, you were talking about archaeology and layers. Bridget is all about layers. And so we know the history about a lot of these, and including like when we went to visit you about 2 years ago, there's paintings there from, they call it Yamba. Hugh was living there. It's a town about 3 hours north of Sydney. And I just, when I see them, I can see the colours. We used to be on the beach, and she'd pick up, you'd see ochre as pebbles, and she used to draw on the rocks with this ochre, and lovely colours, like those colours. And we should come back from the beach with all these lovely seed pods that had floated in on the beach from Fiji and places like this. And we were on Airbnbs, so. The balcony was just covered with debris, It'd hate me cleaning up after. That's what I remember that. You have an amazing painting there. That's probably the best painting that's your collection, isn't it?
Yeah.
You got a good one there.
No flies on.
No. And I didn't realise this one. I only said that's Bob, that's Cork, and that's the patterns that And when I say this, I see this little bit up here. It reminds me of the horizon around here. Because every time Mick said, every time you look around here, it's misty, or even if it's not misty, you can't see where's the islands and which is the clouds. And it looks like a ray of light coming through it, which it's actually painted in. So layers, there's layers everywhere. Then when Bridget taught it, she was thinking in layers all the time. So layers of classical music, and there's the landscape of the mind as well. So she would have been reading about Tim Robinson, his layering, and she used to read books with a map, so she could follow things through and everything. Because we all read a book differently, because you can only go with what you have in your mind already. So her paintings were layers all the time. And as you said, you can see the collage and stuff that's underneath it that she would dig out, and she would use sanders and dig out into the sand. And I think she was using wax at some stage. I don't see, maybe they're here, but I don't know. And there's loads of surfaces. I know they were from around the Celtic Tiger years. Lovely surfaces on them. The architects used to love them. Textures. Textures everywhere.
Her zest for life is phenomenal as well,
Bogs are perfect. There's loads of bogs around here.
Yeah.
And she used to, I think she
fell into the bog hole.
fell into it. Yeah.
And you were saying that that often wasn't accidental.
Well, in terms of Bridget, she loves the whole kind of sort of like discovering or excavating, really, below the surface.
Yeah.
So I was going to say it was nearly like accidental on purpose,
Yeah.
Falling into the bog.
She'd be in there, but she'd be happy to prolong the experience.
Yeah, because she had a story there about somebody walking by and she was kind of like nearly herself in some way. So, she always kind of turns something.
Trying to save her Donegal pink jumper.
Exactly, yes. She has some amazing sort of knitted jumper on her, and she was trying to save it, so she was pulling it up.
Yeah, I think that was in Belberry, wasn't it?
Yeah.
That's the local
Yeah.
connection,
Yeah.
the
Yes.
up the road,
Yeah. But I mean, there was always like, she had that kind of just that excavating kind of sort of which she brought into her paintings, which was the strand mooching as well.
Strand mooching.
Yeah, I mean, her lexicon of words for different things was just brilliant as well. She had her own like going on a skite, and it was always not a skite of discovery. And just strand mooching and finding stones and just stone licking, as you say in the family, to see which colour would she'd find in that stone, and then drawing on another kind of flat surface to see what that would would be revealed. But so it was it was always an element of discovery walking with Bridget as well, definitely. So it was between conversation, drawing, fun.
What about you, Josh? Do you have stories about Bridget and
I think we have a story, don't we?
Yeah.
You were saying how, like, we were talking about the impression she makes on people.
Yeah,
and you have someone in particular that she made quite an impression on.
She was, one day she was sea swimming, as she did, frequently, and she was waiting for a friend who never showed. So she went for a swim, and she had a spare cup and a spare bit of coffee in her flask. This was down near Ardmore. And some very distinguished gentlemen came past, so they got to chatting. So anyway, they shared a coffee and a chat, and he went on his way. Now, the woman who never showed for the swim's son was working in the Cliff House, the posh place down there. He was in the bar. The son was in the bar.
Okay.
And he phoned up Bridget and said, "What's this I hear about you chatting up 007? So there you was. It was your man, what's he called again?
Daniel Craig.
Daniel Craig. Sat down and had a little coffee.
And Daniel Craig told the barman that he'd be
He
talking
met a very interesting woman. I believe she never washed that cup, did she?
No.
Yeah. So I think we should raise our glass
Anybody want to top up?
to Bridget Flannery, our fabulous contribution to our lives, to the culture of the country, to the culture of the world. Bridget Flannery. The exhibition is now declared open.